Hunting is in my blood. My father and uncles started taking me out when I was just 6. They taught me how to track, how to move without making a sound, how to survive. They taught me how to respect the wild. And they told me stories. Stories meant to keep hunters from getting too comfortable, from thinking they owned the land, from thinking they were invincible. The most famous story was always the one about her. A woman, more beautiful than any you've ever seen, wandering deep in the forest where no woman should be. She doesn't speak. She doesn't run. She just walks, leading hunters deeper and deeper into the woods, until they're too lost to ever find their way back. The old folks called her La Diablesse. I never believed in her. I chalked it up to superstition, nothing more, until the night I met her. Every hunting season, my friends and I spent 7 days in the woods, tracking, hunting, living off the land. It was my favorite time of the year, a break from everything. This season was no different. On the 4th day, we had already bagged a couple of deer and were scouting for more. We moved as a group, but sometimes, in the heat of the chase, we split up. It happened. We always found our way back. That's how I got separated from the others. I was tracking a deer, a big one. Its footprints were fresh, its scent strong. I moved fast, heart pounding with the thrill of the hunt. I barely noticed how deep into the forest I had gone. Then I lost the trail. Frustrated, I stopped to catch my breath, scanning the trees, trying to get my bearings. That's when I saw her. She was standing in the middle of the path. A woman, alone. She was stunning, long, dark hair cascading over her shoulders, a white dress flowing around her like mist. She stood perfectly still, her back to me, as if she had been waiting. I felt a strange unease creep over me. She shouldn't be here, this deep in the woods, alone. "Hey!" I called out. "Are you okay?" She didn't move. I took a step closer. "Miss, do you need help?" Nothing. Then, without a word, she turned and started walking, not toward me, away. I hesitated. Every instinct screamed that something wasn't right. But what was I supposed to do? Let her walk into the dark? Alone? So I followed. She moved with an eerie grace, her feet barely making a sound. I tried again. "Miss, where are you going? Do you need help getting back?" Still nothing. I followed her deeper into the trees, pushing past low-hanging branches, stepping over thick roots. The further we went, the more unfamiliar everything became. I didn't recognize this part of the forest. That's when the panic started to creep in. I turned to glance behind me. Nothing looked familiar. No markers, no tracks, no way to tell which direction I had come from. Still, I followed her. Something inside me needed to. The woods grew thicker, the air heavier. Branches scraped against my skin. I stumbled, tripping over a root, hitting the ground hard. When I pushed myself up, she was gone, and I was completely alone. A deep, unnatural silence settled over the forest. No wind, no rustling leaves, no distant animal calls. I swallowed hard, glancing around. The trees looked twisted, their trunks stretching unnaturally high. The air smelled wrong, damp, stale. I had no idea where I was. A rustle in the distance made me freeze. My breath hitched, then a head movement. She was there, 30 feet away, standing perfectly still, her back still turned to me. Relief flooded me. If I found her, I could find my way back. I hurried forward. "Hey, please wait." Nothing. I picked up my pace, nearly running now. I had to get to her. I had to stop her. I reached out and grabbed her shoulder. She turned, and I felt everything inside me go cold. Her face, half of it was beautiful just as I had seen before, but the other half, rotted, decayed, flesh hanging loose, revealing blackened muscle and bone. One eye was missing, an empty, gaping socket staring at me. Her lips peeled back in a too-wide grin, revealing yellowed, jagged teeth. I staggered back, my breath trapped in my throat. Then she laughed. It wasn't a human sound. It was sharp, piercing, crawling under my skin, inside my skull. It was everywhere, all around me, coming from the trees, the ground, the sky. I ran. I didn't care where, I just ran. Branches tore at my face, my arms, my legs. My lungs burned. But no matter how fast I ran, her laughter followed me. Always right behind me. I risked a glance back. Nothing. No sign of her. But the laughter never stopped. I spun in circles, desperate to find a way out, desperate to see anything familiar. Then water. I could hear a river. If I could find it, I could follow it back. I ran toward the sound, heart hammering in my chest. The laughter grew louder, like it was coming from every direction, closing in. Then, the ground disappeared. I had run off a ledge. I barely managed to grab onto the edge, fingers digging into the rocky surface. My legs dangled over open air. Below me, a dark pool of water swirled at the base of a 50-foot drop. Panting, I tried to pull myself up. Then, a shadow loomed above me. I looked up. She was standing over me, smiling, her one human foot and one blackened hoof on full display. She stepped forward, onto my fingers. Pain shot through my hands. My grip slipped. I fell. I hit the water hard, the impact knocking the air from my lungs. Darkness swallowed me, and then I woke up, drenched in sweat, heart pounding. I was in my bed, back at camp. A nightmare, just a nightmare. I sat up, pressing my face into my hands, trying to calm my racing heart. My friends were snoring softly in their tents. The fire had burned down to embers. Everything was normal, but then, in the distance, so faint it could have been the wind. Alas, I never went hunting alone again.